Danielle Johnson was a well-known astrology influencer, musician, and YouTuber with over 100,000 followers on Twitter. Despite her fame and apparent success, her rise to popularity was shrouded in controversy. But no one could have predicted the tragic and horrifying events that unfolded on the morning of a lunar eclipse. That day, Danielle snapped in a way no one saw coming, leading to her death and the near annihilation of her entire family. As detectives and online sleuths delved into the chilling case, a disturbing picture began to emerge. Danielle had left behind a trail of cryptic clues, including unsettling tweets about conspiracy theories and apocalyptic warnings. What pushed her over the edge? Did she genuinely believe the lunar eclipse was her reckoning? And more terrifyingly, who in her family would survive her rampage? This story takes us to Woodland Hills, an affluent neighborhood in Los Angeles, California. Nestled between the mountains and the coastline, it's a place where the rich and famous live in luxury. Yet behind the glamorous facade of this upscale area lies the horrifying tale of Danielle Johnson. Known online as Mystic Lipstick, Danielle was far from the average resident. She offered spiritual services like astrology readings, rituals, and remote healing, quickly amassing a devoted following. On the morning of April 8, 2024, during a rare lunar eclipse, America woke up to terrifying headlines. It began on the 405 freeway, where responders found the body of an infant. But this was just the beginning. As police investigated further, they uncovered a gruesome series of events spanning 3 crime scenes, all connected to Danielle. Danielle's sudden disappearance sparked wild speculation. Was it spiritual psychosis, or was it postpartum depression? Overwhelmed by managing her Etsy store, daily readings, and motherhood, Danielle had been under immense pressure. Despite confiding in close friends about her struggles, her online presence became more detached from reality, fueling her mental decline. In the days before her death, her erratic posts and her daughter's unexplained absence were clear signs. Yet no one stepped in. Was her breakdown caused by mental health issues or something darker? While a solar eclipse coincided with the events, it was likely her unraveling mind, not the stars, that led to the tragedy. Could intervention have saved her? We'll never know. But one thing's certain. This story is a chilling reminder to pay attention to the signs before it's too late. What do you think happened to Danielle? Danielle's life appeared full of success and luxury, while Jalen's began in a small Florida town. Raised in a working-class family, Jalen's love for adventure and the stars was nurtured by his father, a former Navy mechanic, and his mother, a sci-fi movie lover. After joining the U.S. Air Force at 18, he was stationed in Italy, where he worked as an aircraft technician while pursuing his passion for meteorology. Jalen traveled Europe, sharing stories and embracing his bisexual identity. He was also deeply interested in astrology and metaphysics, seeking spiritual connection and purpose. Jalen met Danielle at a metaphysical convention in Rome, where they bonded over shared interests. Their relationship grew, and by early 2023, Danielle was expecting Jalen's child. In the summer of 2022, Jalen moved in with Danielle, but tension soon arose. Danielle's family had left after a series of arguments, with her mother warning Jalen about Danielle's deteriorating mental health. Despite the warning, Jalen moved forward with his love for Danielle, unaware of the emotional turmoil she was facing. As their relationship deepened, Jalen noticed troubling signs in Danielle's behavior, including reckless spending and emotional withdrawal, signaling that their journey together was heading in an unexpected direction. The act of betrayal that Danielle carried out not only caused her to force both her mother and brother out of the house, but also resulted in her cutting them completely out of her life. What started as an attempt to get some space from her family escalated into a final severance. Danielle's explosive behavior left an irreparable gap, and from that point on, there was no turning back. On the other hand, Jalen, despite seeing the cracks in the relationship, believed things might calm down over time. Perhaps, he thought, Danielle would eventually reconcile with her mother, and their dynamic would heal as months passed. But this was far from the case. Instead of improving, Danielle's behavior became increasingly erratic and controlling. Over the next few months, she began isolating herself and Jalen even further from his family. The distance grew more noticeable, and Jalen could no longer maintain connections with those he loved. The final straw came when Danielle accused Jalen's mother of practicing black magic. Convinced that she was actively trying to sabotage their relationship, her paranoia started to spin out of control, affecting every aspect of their lives. In May of 2022, Danielle took drastic measures by locking Jalen's Twitter account, a decision driven by the overwhelming fear that enemies were using social media to curse both him and their relationship. Danielle's delusions, however, only worsened. She began to use Twitter as a platform to sell spiritual products, including some that supposedly healed trauma linked to sexual abuse. This only added to the chaos. One of her tweets about tantric healing sessions for sexual trauma victims stirred up widespread outrage, with critics accusing her of being insensitive and profiting off other people's pain. Worse yet, she had been copying material from other sources, drawing ire from both her peers and clients. Despite these growing concerns, Danielle seemed entirely uninterested in the backlash. The months that followed only brought more turbulence. Danielle's obsession with online criticism only fueled her erratic behavior. Instead of ignoring the hateful messages, as most influencers would do, she engaged with them aggressively, doubling down on her beliefs and retaliating in the most extreme ways. Her social media rants became filled with conspiracy theories, from NASA allegedly using rockets during the solar eclipse to manipulating the masses to wild speculations about the collapse of a Baltimore bridge being part of a covert operation. It was clear that her behavior was spiraling. Her paranoia expanded to such a degree that she believed she was a queen of the underworld, summoning demons to act as her personal bodyguards. This delusion manifested in her daily life, but her personal relationships suffered the most. Friends and family were at a loss on how to intervene. Danielle refused to seek therapy, adamantly rejecting any suggestion that she might need help. Despite this, her mental state continued to deteriorate. In between selling dubious spiritual products and practicing witchcraft, Danielle's behavior became increasingly erratic. She gained attention on Twitter for more nonsensical posts, including her declaration that the apocalypse was imminent. These tweets were laced with disturbing messages about spiritual warfare, accusations of betrayal, and a constant reminder to her followers to wake up. By April 2024, her posts had become dangerously inflammatory. She urged her followers to prepare for the upcoming solar eclipse, claiming that it marked the beginning of the end. This apocalyptic rhetoric reached a crescendo when she posted a series of tweets urging people to make life-altering decisions about their beliefs. The sheer intensity of her messages alienated those around her, and by April 7th, she made her final, cryptic tweet warning of something catastrophic coming. Then, without a trace, she disappeared from social media. The events that followed her disappearance were nothing short of tragic. On the morning of April 8th, a violent argument broke out between Danielle and Jalen, culminating in Danielle stabbing him in a fit of rage. Neighbors heard the argument, but no one intervened. By 4 a.m., Danielle was seen leaving the apartment in her Porsche, with her children in tow. Her mental state, already unstable, reached a tipping point as she sped recklessly down the highway. Just 30 minutes later, Danielle stopped her vehicle near Culver City and, in an incomprehensible moment of madness, threw her children out of the car, leading to a horrifying accident where her 8-month-old child was struck by oncoming traffic. Danielle didn't stop there. She continued driving, speeding uncontrollably, before crashing into a tree at over 100 mph, ending her own life. Meanwhile, at the apartment, police arrived later that morning to discover Jalen's lifeless body, stabbed to death. The violent scene was haunting, with religious objects scattered across the apartment and a blood-stained kitchen knife found nearby. The police investigation uncovered evidence of escalating mental instability, but by then, it was too late. With 3 lives lost in one tragic night, the impact on those who were left behind was unimaginable. The children, now orphaned, would forever be scarred by the traumatic events they witnessed. This entire incident stands as a chilling reminder of how unchecked mental health issues, combined with toxic behavior and neglect, can lead to devastating consequences. What was once a family now lies shattered, with the tragic loss of life marking the painful end of a dark chapter in their lives. Danielle's sudden disappearance left everyone in shock, and theories began to emerge. Some believed she was experiencing spiritual psychosis, others pointed to general psychosis, and some speculated postpartum depression, PPD, played a role. Danielle, Overwhelmed by managing an Etsy store, daily readings, motherhood, and the emotional weight of social media had been under extreme stress. She confided in close friends about her struggles, especially during her divorce, but the pressure seemed to take its toll. Her online presence, a form of escape, grew increasingly disconnected from her real life. As she became absorbed in emotionally charged content on Twitter, her mental state spiraled. Was it PPD, a spiritual crisis, or both? We may never know the full truth. In the days leading up to her death, Danielle's erratic content and her daughter's absence from school were clear warning signs, yet no one intervened. Though Danielle's breakdown coincided with a solar eclipse, it was likely her mental health that caused her collapse, not the stars. In the aftermath, her daughter was placed with her biological father, Cecil, and began therapy. While the tragedy was devastating, it highlighted the importance of mental health awareness. Could an intervention have changed the outcome? We may never know, but we must remain aware of the signs in others and ourselves. Share your thoughts below. Was Danielle's breakdown a mental health crisis, or was there something more at play?